Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Rangers start the Mike Sullivan era with a dud, getting shut out by the Pittsburgh Penguins at Madison Square Garden. So, not really a game to feel too good about, obviously. Penguins were the better team. Rangers had some opportunities, but really kind of an uninspiring performance from the New York Rangers. And I'll be honest, most of my attention was going towards the Yankee game. And at least the result there was a good one. But for the Rangers, really, from what I could tell, just weren't able to generate a whole lot of chances. Just the fact that they were outshot 15-5 in the third, that's a disappointing thing. It felt like a lot of the things that we saw last season. And this is not a Rangers team that has a whole lot of speed. To be honest with you, as far as the talent goes, like that diminishes over time with this team. And look, like, first off, it's game one, right? Like, you have to acknowledge that. Also, Panarin and JT Miller are coming off of being injured and not really having much of any game action. So there is that as well, but there is frustration too. And the fact that Dan Muse, who was a Ranger assistant coach under Peter Laviolette, now the Penguin bench boss, he gets the win. And again, I don't think if you're a Ranger fan, you can look at this game and say that the Rangers deserve to win. It's their 100th anniversary, centennial season. They had the uniform, the jerseys to sanctify that. I think they're going to wear them 10 home games this season. This is one of 10. But just not a whole lot to show. Power play goes 0 for 2. Like, that didn't look any good. And I don't know, like, I just don't know if it's going to work. I feel like there's a staleness, not only to the team, but especially the power play. Like, it's mostly going to be JT Miller in that customary Kreider spot. And then, Panarin, Zibanejad, Fox, Trocheck. And they might switch it up just minimally. You may see Lafreniere on there every now and then. But I almost feel like you need wholesale changes to that power play. And I'm not sure if that means kind of just making it more of an even split between power play 1 and 2. But maybe it was just because it was a flashback to what we saw last year, which was a horrendous power play. And look, here's the other thing too. The Rangers had a blowout victory at Pittsburgh, ironically, last year, game 1. And we kind of know where the season eventually went. That said, they had a good start. But just because, game 1 does not necessarily signal what is to be for the rest of the year. But look, you would have hoped for a little bit more of an in-your-face sort of game, right? That's supposed to be part of the new identity of a Mike Sullivan team, and you just didn't see that. And so I don't want to place individual blame anywhere at this point. But look, like, the top 6 did not give you what you needed. It's hard to feel amazing about some of the bottom 6 stuff, but I feel like that to go there almost feels like low-hanging fruit because of the fact that, you really need it from the top guys. So let's get into the game. As far as the lineup was concerned, I had put out a opening night roster episode. Definitely check it out. And it was described there what this lineup was. So the healthy scratches were no surprises, and they were Johnny Brodzinski, Matthew Robertson, and Juuso Parssinen. In the case of the forwards, I expect that to kind of change a lot, right? Robertson, I think at this point, will be the 7th defenseman most of the time, but even he could find his way in there, honestly, as well. But I think in the case of Parssinen and Brodzinski, like, I don't know, don't be surprised if one of them may be in next game. I think that has to be, within the realms of possibility. Not that that's going to like really make the difference, but just something to think about. But this will actually likely be a pretty quick recap for many reasons. Because again, it's hard to get too fired up, but believe me, it's very frustrating to see this. And, even though I made the prediction that the Rangers would make the playoffs, there is an outcome where, like, this could go horribly wrong. Like to me, the downside is kind of more than the upside. Like, as much as they have enough, if they stay healthy, to get in, I don't see them being a great team. I have a hard time, based on this roster, I have a really hard time thinking that this is going to be an upper echelon hockey team. Good enough to make the playoffs? Yes. But, you know, if things go south, it could get bad quick. And then at that point, to me, like by the trade deadline, to me, Panarin, if this is a team that is not going to be a playoff team, then Panarin should be traded at the deadline. That to me is a no-brainer decision. So 59 seconds in, pretty tough first shift for Harrison Bernicki. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. 59 seconds in, he hooks Adam Fox. So kind of against the pace of play. The Penguins had a little bit of the better of the action there, but then Fox, makes the play, in the neutral zone and he draws the penalty, but the Rangers don't score in the power play. See, right there, that's a way to kind of take charge of a game, make your mark, and they don't do it. And then at 7:33, Fox is called for interfering with Sidney Crosby. I didn't love what I saw from Adam Fox's game. Again, to be fair, this is not one of the games that I was totally honed in on. So that take that with a little grain of salt. But from what I could see, didn't really love what I saw. Rangers do kill it off. As far as the penalty kill duos, I believe I saw them be, I think it was Trocheck with Carrick, Zibanejad with Cooley, and Laba with Radish. And kind of doing it that way, it's kind of basically everyone seems to be on the power play and penalty kill in that scenario, except for, I guess, Adam Edstrom would be kind of how I would see it, because even Matt Rempe got second power play time. So I like the idea of trying to be as versatile as possible, right? Where Connor Sherry was on the power play and Noah Laba penalty kill. Again, all of the forwards were on either the power play or the penalty kill, except for Edstrom. And even that to me could change at some point, but penalty kill does get the job done. And I guess I'll fit this in right here. Like, give credit to Arturs Silvos. He gets the shutout. Tristan Jarry, actually the backup. Shilov's former Vancouver Canuck. Now, Shilov's in his first season. There was actually a trade in the offseason. He goes from Vancouver to Pittsburgh, and he gets the shutout on 25 Ranger shots. Igor Shesterkin played well. Igor was the best Ranger. We'll talk about the one non-empty net goal the Penguins scored. But Igor, did his job. His stats on the night were as follows: 27 saves on 28 shots. So like I said, power plays for both teams to get killed off. And then, let's just go to the goal late in the first. And look, I didn't think the Ranger first period was all that inspiring. Again, kind of a theme for the game in some ways. Rangers kind of picked up the pace a little bit in the second. But with 32 seconds left in the period, Justin Brazeau scores his first goal as a Penguin, and it's assisted by Evgeny Malkin. It's a face-off that is essentially won, I guess, by Malkin. Trocheck has it for a brief moment. Malkin makes a nice little play on the puck, and specifically Lafreniere just tries to shoot up the ice. Like, Alexei, there's 30 seconds left in the period. What exactly, what is the upside there worth it? And again, it just bothers me. And look, Panarin as well, even though this wasn't Panarin's man, like Panarin also, this is the shit we saw last year. Play some fucking defense in that situation. Like, Brazeau's left wide open in front. Easy backhand goal. And again, give Malkin some credit for kind of getting the better of Trocheck. It wasn't Trocheck's fault. And, Vakanainen is kind of taken out of the play, and Schneider was with his man. But again, Lafreniere needs to basically stay behind Brazeau, and then Brazeau gets right behind him and scores past Shesterkin. That's the type of shit that I can't tolerate. And in some ways, Lafreniere, if you look at the shot counts, like, he had a lot of shots on goal. Again, like, what does that mean? But Lafreniere did have 6 shots, so maybe within the top 6 realm, he was one of the better ones. But that's the stuff I've been talking about, and Panarin as well. That's why that line, it needs to be elite offensively, because it just does horribly defensively. It really does. And I don't know that line is going to it's not going to get back to what it was 2 years ago. In a best case scenario, it's just not going to happen. That's a really backbreaking goal to give up with, again, like less than 30, about 30 seconds left in the period. That cannot happen. And it's 1-0 Penguins. And that was all that the Penguins needed. Second period, I think the Rangers kind of picked it up a bit. But, you know, even though the shots were 13-7 Rangers in the second, like, Penguins probably had more of a high quality chances. There were many opportunities for the Penguins to score. And there was one that went off the post. Like, the Penguins very much easily could have made it a 2-goal game and didn't. I mean, at the same time, Zibanejad had some chances over the course of the game, second period, third period. Will Cooley had one as well in front, but, you know, unsuccessful. And the Rangers did get a power play at the end of the second, 18:55. Letang trips Panarin. But between the second and the start of the third, they don't score on that either. So the score remains down 1-0. Again, you know, I did not like the third period performance by the Rangers. And ultimately, and you know, this is kind of a thing with most head coaches these days, is a little bit quick on the goalie pull. We saw that a lot with Laviolette, but it's not just Laviolette. It's not just Mike Sullivan. But it is unfortunate where all of a sudden, like, the Rangers do have possession in the Penguin zone, but it gets lost pretty quickly. JT Miller wasn't able to kind of hold the boards in what was his first game as Ranger captain. And Malkin gets it. Zibanejad can't stop Malkin. And then Justin Brazeau goes in all alone. So again, multiple people to kind of blame for not being harder on the puck. Brazeau scores his second goal of the game, assisted by Malkin and Mantha. You know, the interesting thing in looking at it, oh, never mind. It was pretty much the 6-stat run was pretty much the first power play unit plus Lafreniere. So at 17:48 makes it jumping Penguins, and then for good measure, another empty net goal. Blake Lizotte, his first from Shea and Dewar at 18:08. So look, I mean, 3-0 Penguins win the game. This is not a good Pittsburgh team. This is a team that's very likely to finish towards the bottom of the standings. And look, when you do have Crawford, you have some of those veterans, like, maybe it won't be so bad, but even still, just looking at the Penguin roster, it isn't very good. So, I mean, that defense, it's like you have Letang and Carlson as far as names go. I'm not even talking about ability at this point. And then it's just four guys that, you know, I don't know. It's tough. Like, this shouldn't be a great Penguin team. But that's no offense to them. I think that's kind of the thought. And kind of going from Sullivan to Muse, it's a little bit of a changing of the guard in the sense, while they still do have some of the old guard left in Crosby, Malkin, Letang, and a few others. But yeah, just a really bad loss by the Rangers. Very reminiscent to things we saw last season. And now they will head on the road to take on the Buffalo Sabres. And what will be the Sabres' first game of their season. So, you know, the interesting thing there is that the Rangers, a few years ago, their first game, and Buffalo's as well, was in Buffalo. Rangers played well. So, you know, hopefully there's a little bit of, I mean, again, it doesn't mean much of anything, but if you're a Sabre fan, another Ranger at Sabre first game of the year for Buffalo. But yeah, like, in some ways, you look at the first 4 games, like, in theory, some winnable games on the Rangers slate, but don't know if it's actually going to turn out that way result-wise. And so Rangers still looking for their first goal after the first game. They get shut out. First game of the Mike Sullivan era. They end up losing by a final score of 3-0. 2 empty net goals. The one Pittsburgh non-empty net goal was scored at the end of the first period. And that was all she wrote. So Rangers are looking to bounce back as they head to Buffalo, but the Rangers are 0-1 at the start of the Mike Sullivan era.